Hello there, this is Professor Warsi. I have explained the first three parts of speech, three types. There are nouns, pronouns, and adjectives. I hope you took the lessons. If you haven't, then I suggest that you start from the nouns and pronouns and adjectives. Today we are going to learn a very important part of speech, that is verbs. Now, without verbs, no language is complete. Now, verbs could be mental or physical. In the picture, there's that very famous thinking man. It's called the thinking man. It's in Stanford University's campus to inspire students to think. Descartes says, I'm thinking, therefore I am. So think is a mental verb. So let's get started. Verbs, as I mentioned before, could be both physical and mental. Some examples of physical verbs are kick, slap, punch, fall, jump. There are other verbs such as run, drive, speak, read, write. Mental verbs are think, dream, sleep, and design. These are all mental verbs. So think, for example, does not require a physical activity. A sentence may only have a main verb, such as I drive to work, and sometimes it may be preceded by a helping verb, meaning a helping verb comes before the main verb. Birds of the same feather flock together. The word flock is the main verb. Rome was not built in a day. Was there is a helping verb because it's helping the main verb built. So verbs are composed of main verbs and helping verbs. Next up. This is important for you to know because in most of the sentences that you write, you will probably need a helping verb. So there are three types of helping verbs in English. The first one is have, as in have, has, and had. The second is do, as in do, does, and did. And the third one is be verb, am, is, are, was, were, being, and been. So verbs in English, as we learn, are main verbs, helping verbs, and past participles. So main verbs, the main verb of a sentence can change the meaning and also its form. So base form, for example, let's look at a base form. I usually write in the morning, such as just as this lady is writing with headphones on. If you did some writing in the past, you would say, I wrote a short story last night. Past participle, I have written a short story. Present participle, I am writing a poem right now. Okay? So pay attention to the word written. It has n, the en suffix at the end. And in the case of present participle, there's ing at the end of write. Writing a poem right now. Third person singular is an s suffix. It tells you that a person does something. He usually writes in the morning. So there is an s suffix at the end of write, and that means it's a singular verb that is used in the present tense. Moving on. There are regular and irregular verbs. Now, regular verbs are easy to learn because they take the past suffix ed, spelled ed. So that's easy, but irregular verbs are a little more difficult because that you have to pay attention when you read and when you write. These irregular verbs do not take the past suffix ed. But first thing first, let's study regular verbs in English. So in the past tense, you add ed to a verb he walked in the morning for 30 minutes. And past participle is he has walked today, an action that was completed. So regular verbs in English are kick, kiss, touch, cook, steam. There are other verbs that you may know, such as drive, right? Run, jog. Okay. So again, let's just go over the ed past suffix. Regular verbs in English take ed as a past suffix, such as in kicked, kissed, touched, and talked. Now remember, the ed suffixes tell the reader or the listener that this action took place in the past. Okay, so irregular verbs. We talked a little bit about what irregular verbs are. It's important to remember that they do not take the past suffix ed when used in the past tense. So there are base forms of irregular verbs, past tense, and past participle forms. So if you start with the base form, such as take, you see it changes its form, it becomes took. And in past participle, it becomes taken. Take, took, taken, write, wrote, written. I've given you just a few examples of these irregular verbs. There are others, and you will have to notice when you read and try to remember how these irregular verbs are formed differently. Down below, you see these red words, take it, think it, speak it, and break it. They're all incorrect because they're not regular verbs. Therefore, they cannot take the ed past suffix. If you remember, in the past lessons I explained to you that the asterisk at the beginning of a word means that it is ungrammatical. It's very poorly constructed. Okay, this is also very important because most learners find this confusing. The verb be is irregular. It's not regular. Again, it cannot take the ed suffix. So base form is be, but in present tense it is am, as in I am eating, or we're eating, she's eating. In the past tense, the be form, the base form be, becomes was, as in she was eating, or we were eating. Present participle, be becomes being. Again, it changes its form. Jack is being nice to the beggar. Past participle, Miriam has been to the supermarket. So to go over this again, the base form be changes its forms depending on the tense it's used in. Be, am, is, are, was, were, being, and been. These are the 8 forms of the verb be. Okay, so as we usually do, we end a lesson with an exercise to give you a chance to practice what you have learned. In this exercise, I need you to read the passage below and either highlight or underline. If you're using a tablet, you can highlight, correct? So you just highlight the words in the passage that you think are helping verbs, main verbs, and past participles. So take a few minutes, relax, do the exercise, and I'll show you the answers in a few moments. How did you do? Did you do well? Did you identify all of the main verbs and helping verbs and past participles? These are the answers. And for your reference, I have given each type of verb a different color. So helping verbs are in blue, main verbs are in green, and past participles are all red. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson today. If you have any questions about verbs, please write your comments or questions in the comment box below, and I will get back to you. This is very important, but I understand this was a short lesson. I just wanted to introduce a new part of a speech to you, verbs. And moving on, I will create lessons on prepositions, conjunctions, and interjections. So stay tuned. I will continue to create more lessons for you so you can practice parts of a speech in writing and when you speak. So I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so that you can get a notification every time I upload a video. Thank you for watching. Remember, keep practicing because practice makes perfect. Okay, take care now. Bye.